Hey guys, gals, and any of you secret squirrels that are hanging out there in the crowd. This is Johnny V on behalf of the Variant.
Oh my gosh, Johnny V.
Johnny V.
I loved that. Short circuit.
Short circuit, that's the one.
Cross circuit, closed circuit, something circuit.
Something circuit.
What a great name.
But I am here on behalf of the Variant. We are a online community for comics, cosplay, and convention coverage, as well as all things nerd culture. I'm here in Jacksonville, North Carolina today with a very special guest at Martial Arts and More, Mr. Vic Mignogna.
I want to apologize for interrupting his intro. I'm sorry. I just got excited when you said Johnny V. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours, and I want to extend a thank you, not just on behalf of us, but on behalf of all the fans that showed up here today, the fans that couldn't make it. Just want to say super thank you so much for showing up, giving them the opportunity, the ones that could make it, to show up and sort of reciprocate some of that love that you show them just with the things that you do in voice acting and music and all the other good stuff that you've been attached to.
Thank you so much. When I walked up, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. I even told them outside that I was concerned that maybe no one would show up.
Oh, come on now.
And said, well, you know, it's always a pleasant surprise. It's always a humbling and honoring experience when people do.
Well, we are certainly glad to have you here today. In the interest of not monopolizing too much of your time while you're here, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into some of the questions that we've got prepared for you.
Hit me.
All right, well, not literally,
Hit me like
but
a bag.
well, there are some bags over here. We'll let you do that later on, maybe. But so the first question that we've got is regarding your start in voice acting. So for some people, something like that kind of kicks off with sort of either inspiration from somebody that's close to them, or it starts off with a moment where you kind of realize that, like, this is something that you want to do. So for you, was it more of a person? Was it a thing? Like, what was that catalyst that got you into voice acting?
I'm sorry to have to say that I'm going to have to add a third.
Go for it.
Reason. I never expected to do this.
Okay.
I'd been acting since I was very young. I did a lot of stage and, a lot of theater, musical theater.
Okay.
And when I was little, I used to watch anime, but I didn't know it was anime. Like Speed Racer. I thought, well, that's really cool. It doesn't look like Bugs Bunny. It's kind of different. There's something different about it. I didn't know what it was. I just liked it. And, of course, come to find out many years later, decades later, that it was anime. Kimba the White Lion, Thundercats, a lot of that stuff. So about 20 years ago, I was living and working in Houston, Texas. And a friend of mine said, hey, we were working on a video together, and he said, hey, you've got a lot of experience acting, don't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, you should go and audition for this place here in town called ADV Films. And they buy these animated series from Japan, and they dub them into English. And I thought, you mean like Speed Racer? Like my friend and I used to run around imitating Speed Racer character, Pops Racer, and Chim Chim and Spritle. And so I thought, well, that would be fun. And I went and auditioned, and I got cast as Vega in Street Fighter II.
All right.
And I just thought it was a one-time weird little thing that I got to do. And a few weeks later, ADV called me and said, hey, we got another show. You want to come do it? And I'm like, sure. I never imagined in a million lifetimes that it would grow into the industry that it has become, and that I would have the privilege to kind of be in on it from the ground level. So now, 20 years later, I've done over 300 different animated series and video games, and I didn't plan any of it. It was quite by accident.
But an impressive resume nonetheless.
Well, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna follow that up a little bit. So now, hearing that you were a fan of anime before you did the voice acting, I was actually going to throw out there to people that a lot of people do obviously recognize you from the very large, diverse cast of anime characters that you do. But maybe some people don't necessarily know, and I've got it on good authority, that you're just a little bit of a Star Trek fan, and just a little bit, and that you had the opportunity to slide into the captain's chair and be Captain Kirk. So my question for you:
if I didn't love Johnny V before, now I love him even more.
Because
he's talking Star Trek now. Now he's coming into my heart. He's touching my heart.
All right, so Star Trek, right? Let's talk about that for just a little second, and not necessarily Star Trek directly, but what I'm looking at here is obviously, you're a big fan of Star Trek. You're doing the acting, you're doing the voice acting, and somewhere along the way, obviously, there's got to be something about Star Trek that just really grabbed you, really captivated you, and some point you said, I'm not content at just consuming this content, but I want to create
I
it.
wish to be consumed by it.
I wish to be consumed by it. But seriously though, like, you know, there's something that you said, hey, I'm a super fan of this. I love watching, I love consuming this content. I'm part of this fandom, but I want to create in this.
How much battery is in that camera? Because I'll run it out talking about Star Trek.
All right, well, so John's back here, and John gives us the thumbs up saying we've got battery.
John's running the power cord to the camera right now. When I was 9 or 10 years old, I discovered that show.
Okay.
And nothing ever moved me the way Star Trek, the original classic Star Trek did. I was enthralled. I don't even know. I guess it was like the storytelling and the imagination of it and the characters and their relationships. And also, I've told this to people in other interviews. My parents had just divorced, and my dad was gone, and I never really had any relationship with him. But there was this guy in Star Trek who was, you know, leader, captain, brave, and he went on these adventures.
You mean Spock, right?
Exactly. And he took care of it. You know, he had these friendships, and he always made these big choices and action. And I mean, Captain Kirk kind of became, you know, a bit of a father figure to me. I started writing little movie ideas, and I started making costumes and building props.
Wait a minute. You're not telling us that
acting.
You're not telling us that you're a cosplayer, are you?
Beyond. Hey, I was a cosplayer before that word was even invented. There wasn't a word for cosplay when I was dressing up and going to Star Trek conventions. But fast forward several decades, and I had been invited to be a part of a couple of Star Trek fan series. People like me who loved the original series and wanted to just try to make their own idea of an episode. So I went to help out with a couple of them. And they left me thinking, you know, I feel like this could be done so much better than it's being done.
Okay.
I wonder if I were to bring all of my years of filmmaking experience, production background, acting, which I got into because of Star Trek, costumes, lighting, makeup, props, sound design, every element of filmmaking. If I were to bring all of those things into making my own episode of Star Trek and get to fulfill my childhood dream of playing Captain Kirk.
Of course.
So I did, and we made one episode, Star Trek Continues. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, go to StarTrekContinues.com. We have 11 full-length episodes that are just like a continuation of the original series. I made it purely out of love for Star Trek. I brought in a bunch of friends who are also fans of Star Trek, but they also were really competent artisans in their own fields of camera and lighting and sound. So we came together. We made one episode, Pilgrim of Eternity.
Okay.
We actually had an actor from the original Star Trek come and reprise his role.
Was it Spock?
No. He's got a thing for Spock. Did you
I really don't. I'm just clowning him at this point.
But he came and reprised his role, and we released it. We didn't know what people would think. We had no plans to make more than one. But we rebuilt the entire soundstage, and we made one episode as best we could, and people really loved it. And so we proceeded to make 10 more. And it finishes the original 5-year mission of the Enterprise, and it leaves everyone right where they were when Star Trek the Motion Picture came out in the late 70s. So we've perfectly filled that gap between the cancellation of the original Star Trek and the motion picture.
And that sounds like a great place to like really kind of grab a hold of and shape some of that content. I was jokingly going to say that my next question was whether or not your 7-foot replica of the Enterprise made a cameo appearance in it.
Oh, this guy's done a little homework. I'm going to promote you to Johnny 6 because you have exceeded all of the Johnny 5 expectations. Yes, it did not. But what he's talking about is recently I contracted a 3D printer guy to make me a 7-foot model of the Enterprise. Now, the original Enterprise that they shot with for the show was 11 feet 2 inches long. It's in the Smithsonian right now. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But there's never been something to that scale. And so my 7-footer, fully electric and lights and functional, it's amazing. And it's the largest replica of the ship after the original shooting model. It did not make an appearance because it wasn't made until a year or two after our series finished. But everything about Star Trek Continues is exactly like a continuation of the original series. Most people say that after 10 minutes they forget they're watching a fan production. They feel like they're watching episodes that were locked in a vault somewhere for 50 years. Original Star Trek is my real childhood passion. And it was the thrill of a lifetime to get to play Captain Kirk. Oh my gosh, what a thrill.
Oh, that's so awesome.
In fact, just last weekend, we did an open house at our studio.
Okay.
In Georgia. We opened it up for people to come and walk through the original soundstage replica and feel like they're, stepping back 50 years in time and walking through the original soundstage at Desilu.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. So my actual question for you is going to be, so you got a chance to do the role of Captain Kirk, something
Yes.
that you really loved. And obviously with the way that the internet has shifted and technology has kind of shifted, it makes the reality of creating these sort of series way more accessible than like it would have been in years past.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, in that in mind, for the people out there who maybe also have a similar passion, maybe not necessarily Star Trek, but maybe they got a different passion. Maybe they think like, how do I get a foothold in sort of creating?
You know what? You guys are living in the most amazing and perfect age for being creative. For instance, I write music professionally. And when I started writing songs, I was 17, 18, 19. And I wanted to record them. But the only place you could ever record quality, top quality music was at a recording studio. You'd have to rent a facility and 24 track 2-inch tape machines but now you can have software on your computer that will record multi-track music the way that you would have to have rented a full-blown studio 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Same with video, same with film production. This camera that we're shooting this on, this digital DSLR, you can shoot something as good as they would have had to hire entire studios and huge film cameras to shoot that kind of quality 20 years ago. But you have the capability to take things at a fraction of the price that are completely accessible to you at Best Buy or on the App Store.
That's not an endorsement, by the way.
No, it's not. This interview brought to you by Best Buy. Anyway, so you have the capability of just having an idea and being able to execute it. Like there are so many people that for years had these amazing ideas, but they didn't have the capability to do that. But they do now. With sound and video equipment and capabilities, you can sit in your room and record a quality song that is as good as anything you hear on the radio, or shoot something on a quality camera. If you know how to light, and you know how to expose, and you know how to frame a shot, and you know how to cut pieces together to tell a compelling story, you have all the pieces at your disposal nowadays that no one ever had years ago. It's a great time to be creative. It's a great time.
Fantastic. So I'm going to see if I fall out of your graces by shifting away from Star Trek for a moment. So we'll see if I get that demotion back down to Johnny 5. So Star Trek, you've obviously, been there, done that, got the Federation uniform. Okay. So thinking
Got
of
the t-shirt.
Okay, well, yeah, more or less. So thinking about, your love and attachment to Star Trek, given the opportunity, let's just say hypothetically speaking, you had the opportunity to either continue the legacy of something that you also love that maybe hasn't seen the kind of continuation in the modern day and age, or to join the legacy of something that is currently being created. Is there something that immediately jumps into your mind as like, oh, in a heartbeat, I would jump on this?
Well, I'm gonna freak a lot of people out right now.
Okay, I'm prepared.
I love Star Wars almost as much as Star Trek. And here's the thing, you guys. They're not mutually exclusive, okay? You don't have to pick one. Every time somebody says to me, Star Wars or Star Trek, I'm like, why is there an or? They're completely different things. I cosplayed as Obi-Wan Kenobi and went and stood in line in costume to see the movies. I would love to do a Star Wars thing, but there are plenty of Star Wars things out there. I wouldn't be doing anything terribly new, I don't think. And I would love to do something new. I haven't yet found anything that inspires me to the degree that classic Star Trek did. But I'm always looking for that idea, that original idea. Because, if you make Star Trek, you can't sell Star Trek. Somebody already owns Star Trek. You can't make it and sell it because it's not mine. But if I could come up with a story or an idea that really thrills and inspires me the way that Star Trek did when I was a little boy, I would do it in a heartbeat. And wouldn't it be nice to make something original that you could actually sell and profit from, as opposed to pouring tens of thousands of dollars into something purely for love of it that you will never see again? I would love to find something original that I could do.
So you hear that, writers? Vic is soliciting. Just kidding.
And my address is what's your email address?
We'll figure that out after the show.
Send it to him. He'll filter them.
Yeah, sure. I'll filter them. We'll call it that.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Quality control.
Quality control. Hey, I like that. That sounds a lot better.
It does.
All right. So, are there any projects that you are currently involved in that are upcoming that you want to tease? Maybe not necessarily something that you're helming, but maybe something that you're involved in I saw that smile, like you're a little excited about something maybe?
Yeah, I just finished, and I'm taking us back to Star Trek, by the way. Johnny 6 tried to get us off of Star Trek, and I'm bringing us back. I just finished an audiobook called These Are the Voyages. It's a book that was written about the making of the original Star Trek series. It's not about fandom, it's not about the episodes themselves, but it's about making them. All of the work and the challenges, the obstacles they had to overcome to get Star Trek made. Inter-office memos, actual correspondence between Gene Roddenberry and different writers and actors and guest stars and the network, and amazing book explaining the origin of some of these episodes and characters that are now world known around the globe. And when I did it, I wanted to make it really fun to listen to. So rather than the conventional audio book where it's the same guy doing all of the voices, I actually brought in a whole bunch of people, including some of the actual people that were there. And they recorded their own excerpts from the book. I had different actors come in and play the voice of Gene Roddenberry. Adam Nimoy came in and recorded the excerpts of his dad, Leonard Nimoy. Chris Doohan came in and recorded his dad's excerpts, Jimmy Doohan, who played Scotty. We've had D.C. Fontana, who was the story editor in the original Star Trek. She is a wonderful lady. She lived down the street from me in Studio City, and she came and recorded her own excerpts. It's an incredible listening experience for anybody that's interested in not only Star Trek, but in what goes into the making of a television show.
Oh, that's so awesome. So we've got two more questions for you. I can see the line outside is building up the anticipation of folks coming in to see you.
Yay.
So real quick, I just want to talk about appearances. Let's talk about appearances, upcoming appearances, etc. So obviously you just did the appearance at KamehamehaCon, which much to the surprise of no one was a smash hit.
It was such a thrill to be there.
It was such a thrill.
Goodness.
People were absolutely just ecstatic to be able to come out and see you. It was great to be able to see all the coverage of folks coming out to show their support and come and see you at KamehamehaCon.
I was so humbled by the turnout.
And upcoming, you've got your appearance at Anime Matsuri.
Yes.
Yes. So jealous that I can't make it to that. Texas is a bit far for me, especially in the middle of LARP season.
Well, they make these things called airplanes.
They do.
And they get you from one place to another pretty quick.
I know they do. So I live here. I live right here in North Carolina.
You should totally come. Just saying.
I'll tell them Vic told me I should come.
There's a promotion in it for you.
Oh, so all right.
Could be Johnny 7 in your future.
All right.
Just saying.
Okie doke. Well, I mean,
it's completely up to you.
Vic said it. Well, Vic said it, so it's official. But so past Anime Matsuri, which is coming up, Bubba Fest is on your radar in late August.
Yes.
Is there Savannah? I forgot about that one.
There's a fourth one. Oh, San Jose. It's Super World Con. Check it out. Hawaii Con coming up in the fall. I've got a handful of others. I'm very excited about all of them. My favorite thing, you guys, when you're a voice actor, you're in a padded booth recording these episodes, these shows, and you don't have any audience there. There's no one to interact with. When you're on stage, there's an actual audience, and there are other actors on stage with you, and you feel the energy from the audience. And if you say something funny, you hear people laugh, and if you perform a line, a very sad, heartbreaking line, you hear people, you feel people in the audience going, oh. You have none of that when you're a voice actor. So the chance to come out and meet people who've enjoyed my work over the years is my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. That's why I've done so many events over the years. I love meeting the fans and knowing something that I worked on that moved them in some way, or better yet, even helped them through something difficult or a tough time in their lives. So I've got several events coming up. I just did Puerto Rico Comic-Con. It was amazing. The fans down there and the staff are just so wonderful. I just did a show in Tupelo last weekend. Where was I last weekend? I was somewhere, wasn't I? Yeah, where was I?
I don't know. I don't stalk you, man. Like
maybe Puerto Rico was last weekend. Yes, it was. I'm old. Getting a little cloudy up there, but several things coming up, and I hope people will come out and see me. And for the people that might have gone to Raleigh SuperCon, that's why my friend Chris set this event up, so graciously set it up, and the owners here so graciously allowed us to hold the event here, and I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled that people have come out. Looking forward to meeting every one of them.
Excellent. Vic has a series of upcoming events coming up, upcoming appearances, etc. And a question that I've actually had people ask me a lot is, where online, if I was trying to find Vic's appearance schedule so I could come out and see him, like where online would I be able to find that?
Well, you know what, you guys, I have to apologize for that, because on my fan club website, www.risemboolrangers.com, Risembool is the little town that Ed and Al came from in Full Metal. Risembool. I've always had my convention schedule there. But because my convention schedule has been in such a state of flux over the last few months, we've kind of hesitated to put one up because we weren't sure how locked in it was. So check there. And also, keep your eyes open on social media in general. I'm sure whenever I book an event, there'll be announcements about it. I'll be tweeting about it. Other people will be talking about it. And I would love for as many of you guys as possible to come out and say hello. I would love to meet as many people as possible.
Okay, so it sounds like Twitter then is kind of your social media drug of choice. If you had to, regrettably.
Yeah, not a big fan, but it is one way to get the word out.
Okay, so there's not maybe necessarily a fixed convention schedule, but if you're interested in finding out where you can see Vic next, as events come out, you'll be posting them to Twitter, and obviously there's a number of other people that are sharing those events out.
Yes.
Myself included. The event that's today, I just actually happened to see like one day, right time, right place, and I was like, oh, there it is, gotta go, and then it kind of got involved in like everything that's going on.
And I expect we'll probably be putting a con schedule up on the Risembool Rangers website as soon as we kind of finalize it. There are a few events later on in the year that I haven't finalized yet, so and there may be new ones popping up, so that's why we haven't finalized it. But check out risemboolrangers.com and keep an eye there. I'm sure you'll see information there as well about any events I'm doing.
Awesome. Is there anything else you just want to leave the crowd with before we cut this out?
Just the same thing I always end all my interviews with, and that is thank you. Thank you so much for being so supportive and enthusiastic of my work over the years. I never imagined ever when I started doing this that it would grow into what it has become and that I would have the privilege to be a part of it. I wake up every day extremely grateful and extremely blessed that I've gotten the opportunity to do what I'm doing. So thank you. Thank you so much for your kindness and your support.
Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. Vic Mignogna here at Martial Arts and More in Jacksonville, North Carolina today. My name is Johnny 5. You can find me on Instagram at Johnny_5. And you can find us at The Variant online at thevariant.com. Thanks again. Have a great day, guys.